All right, well, today we're going to continue talking about parabolas.
Uh-oh.
And so we'll be talking about the most likely application of this is still going to be projectiles. But we have the form of the equation from yesterday. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Yeah, so these are, any equation of this form is going to be a parabola. So that there's a couple of different versions of parabolas that I can draw up here in just a second. But the first thing to note is that we're going to now start to solve this where y equals 0. So y equals 0 equals, this whole thing. Okay. So let me show you some possible solutions you could get graphically for this. So the first one, the first parabola that we've been talking about was normally, like y equals ax squared, which can be something like this, or depending on the value, may be down like this. But when we're solving for y equals 0, we're solving for x-intercepts, right? So we might have a equation like this, where we have so the parabola could be here, and then what we would be solving for when y equals 0 is the two x values. So you'll have two answers, two x values. So that's one. So one possible. So we can have. So for possibilities here. One would be two x values. Then number 2, that sounds funny after saying 2x values, number 2. Okay, for number 2 we can have 1 x value. So what would that be? Well, if you had an equation that was similar to this, then you just have 0, 0, right? But if you had an equation, you could have a different equation where, say, it's over to the right here. And there would still be just one solution for the x value, but it wouldn't be symmetrical to the y-axis like this one is. And it wouldn't be on the origin. The vertex would not be on the origin. Okay, what else can we have? The other possibility is no real solution. So yesterday, I believe we had an equation in 9.3 that we did as an example, where we had y equals 3x squared plus 4. So I don't know if you remember this, but does anyone remember what the minimum, you can look in your notes, but do you remember what the minimum value this had? What was the lowest y value?
4?
Yep, it's 4, yeah. So what we had here, so what we had here for this one was we had our parabola up above the x-axis. So if we're solving for the x-intercepts when we have y equals 0, if y equals 0, then if we're solving for the intercepts, there is no solution because it never equals 0. So those are kind of your three main possibilities with this. Okay, now we're going to talk about how we solve it when we have this equal to 0. And that's where we're going to introduce the quadratic formula.
Mr. M?
Yeah.
If you have it like this, don't you still have a y because it's negative? Or are you just saying if you don't have it?
So what we're trying to we have this form. So I think you're understanding it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But we're saying if we set y to 0.
Oh.
So we're solving for when y equals 0 in this with the quadratic formula.
Okay.
But yeah, there would be, like you're saying, yeah, that would be how it would look like.
Mm-hmm.
But we're solving for when it crosses the x-axis.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so the quadratic formula is a bit of a mouthful, but it's negative b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And so this is, the reason it's plus minus, right, is because we're normally looking for two x-intercepts, so two values. But again, there's situations where you'll get no real value, say when this here is negative, so you can't have a negative square root. Or when well, yeah, that would be the main situation. Otherwise, there's the one, if this equals 0, then you'll just have one solution. Okay. So, the first thing whenever you're filling this out is when you're working on a problem, go ahead and write this out. You want to memorize the quadratic formula. So the best way to memorize it is every time you do a problem, write out the formula.
So whenever in the quadratic formula, does the b always have to be a positive, like, to make it work?
Yeah, so this works with all values of a, b, and c. Well, except for maybe, I think it works for all. Yeah, I believe so. So as long as the y value you're setting it equal to 0, then you could have a negative b. So if this was a negative b, then it would be effectively a positive b here.
But then inside the,
In here?
yeah.
So for this, your b is squared, so this is always going to be positive.
Oh yeah, because it's square.
Right, yeah. But this here, this could be positive or negative, I believe, yeah.
Yeah.
Any follow-up questions to that, or?
No.
No, okay. All right, so let's try an example. So, I'll do it over there. So let's solve this. So x squared plus 6x plus 8. We're setting it equal to 0 because that's what we have to do the quadratic formula. So the first stage is always write out what a equals, what b equals, and what c equals. So what does a equal? 1. Yep, a equals 1. We've just got 1x squared. Okay. What does b equal?
6.
B equals 6, yep. And then what does c equal?
8.
Yeah, it equals 8. Okay, so then what we want to do is set it up. Okay, so we've got negative b. Okay, so that's negative 6 plus minus the square root of b squared. So we know that's b squared. 6 times 6 is 36. So I'm just going to go ahead and put 36 in here. Okay. Plus, or wait, no, excuse me, minus. Minus, okay, we've got 4 times a. What is a? A is 1, so that's 4 times 1. Then we have 4 times 1 times c. C is 8. So we have that times 8. And then that's all over 2a. So a is 1, so we have 2. Okay. So let's see, let's simplify this. We've got negative 6 plus minus the square root. Okay, 4 times 8, is that 32?
Yep.
So we got 36 minus 32 over 2 equals negative 6 plus minus the square root of, what is that, 4?
Yep.
So 4 all over 2. Okay, so what's the square root of 4?
2.
2, yeah. So we've got negative 6 plus minus 2 over 2. Okay, so we'll break this out then. So we've got negative 6 plus 2 over 2 equals, so that would be negative 6 plus 2, so that's 4, or negative 4, negative 4 over 2, which equals negative 2, right? So that's one answer. Then we have negative 6 minus 2 over 2, which equals negative 8 over 2, which would be negative 4, right? Sorry, this is kind of crazy on the board here, but yeah, so we have two answers. We had to do one with the plus this value, and then one with negative that value. So that's where we got negative 2, and negative 4. Any questions on that? Okay, so how would we check this to make sure we did it right? Grayson?
Put in those values for x in the original equation.
Yep, just put it right in here. So, so we would have, so x equals negative 2 for one value, right? So we would have, yeah, so you'd have this formula here. And then you would put in negative 2 for x. So that would be, let's see, negative 2 squared plus 6 times negative 2 plus 8. So that would be 4 plus, what's that, negative 12? Whoa. Plus 8. Okay. 4 plus 8 is 12. And then we have negative 12, so that works. That gives us 0. Okay, so the first one worked. So then we can do the same thing.
Are we checking the answer?
Yeah, that's what we're doing right now. Yep, exactly. Yep, we're checking the answer. Yeah, so then just check for the second solution of negative 4. We just have negative 4 squared plus 6 times negative 4 plus 8. Quite the 8. Okay, so 4 squared is what?
16.
Yep, 16. Plus, what's 6 times negative 4?
Negative 24.
Correct, so minus 24 plus 8, and that equals 0. So, right, 16 plus 8 is 24, minus 24 is 0. So we just checked our answer. Any questions on that? Okay, so let's see, what do I want to get rid of and what do I want to keep? I'll get rid of all of this. So now we're going to have an example of diving. So imagine you are diving off a 10-meter tall platform. And I will put the formula for that up here in just a second.
So
Okay.
every time we use a quadratic formula, there's
Yes.
always two answers. Usually. Wait, no, oh wait,
No.
you said three possibilities. Yeah.
There's three possibilities,
Yeah.
right? So most often it's going to be two x values, or yeah, because two values where it intersects x, right,
Yeah.
or the x-axis. But then there can be one, right? So if the quadratic is like that, see how it's got one intercept with the x-axis, so there's only one value then. But normally it's either like this or like that. So normally there's two values, but then there's also the possibility of no solutions if it's up above or over here, because it never intersects the x-axis. So yeah. Okay. All right. So the height, if you're launching yourself off a 10-meter tall platform, the formula is going to be negative 4.9 t squared plus 4.3 t plus 10. So this here I think is your initial velocity, and then this is your initial height of 10 meters.
What if I push someone off?
Right, yeah. Probably if you push someone off, my guess would be that it'd be this 4.9 t squared here, plus the 10, and then we just get rid of this stuff. But yeah, that's a good question. Okay, so don't push people off though. It's not nice. No, I guess it's you're playful, right?
What if they're too afraid to jump off?
There you
There's
go.
no going back.
There you go, yeah.
Well, actually,
How can you hide the body?
That's
Why are we assuming that 10 meters
what if
isn't
their
that
shape
high?
changes
Only
as
30
they
feet.
are falling? Because if they dive in, they
What if they know how to make a
they
belly
curve through the
What
air,
if they know how to death dive?
and the pressure going under them lifts them up and then makes them go farther, rather than if they cannonball,
No, but
their
they just
volume
don't make
would increase
Why not just
and
like
their
punch them
mass
in the
would
head
increase,
and
so
then
they would
get
fall
knocked down
earlier.
before? Yeah, just double
I don't know.
Why are
Okay,
we on the
back on topic, everybody. So what we want to solve this, since we're doing quadratics, we're going to be solving for when the diver hits the water. So that's going to be when the height, because this height here is how far you are from the water, right? So we're solving for when height equals 0, right? So just this whole thing here.
So we're putting this equation into the quadratic.
We're going to,
Okay.
yep, into the quadratic formula. Okay, so we already have the quadratic formula written right here. We know that this is the form. So again, whenever you're doing this, the first thing you want to do is label, what does A equal? What does B equal? And what does C equal? So in this case, A would equal what?
4.9.
Positive or negative?
Is it? Oh,
Negative.
negative. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be
Sorry.
negative, yep. Okay, and then B?
Is that 9.3 t?
I can see why you would think that, but yes, it is 4.3, yeah.
4.3 t.
So what would the B be equal then?
10.
Oh wait, not
B.
B.
4.3.
4.3, yeah. And C?
10.
Yep. Okay.
Let's not go that far.
So then, how about, well, we'll set it up and then I guess we can keep going with it. Okay. So over here, so we've got negative B. So that's going to be negative 4.3 plus minus the square root of b squared.
4.3 squared.
Yeah. Okay, minus 4 times. Oh my.
Wouldn't that just be 4.3? Because if you square it and then if you exponent it to 2 and then square it, it's just back to the original number.
So this would be negative 4.9. Oh, I'm gonna have to move this over. Okay, so we've got negative 4.3 plus minus square root of 4.3 squared minus 4 times negative 4.9
Times 10.
times 10. All over 2 times negative 4.9. Okay. Does anyone want to figure out what this value equals?
It's
Grayson.
Negative 196.
Negative 196?
Yeah.
So that's, let's see.
That's not what I. Oh wait. Is that after you?
Are you talking about
divided
just
that?
this value here?
Yeah, just that.
Okay. So we've got negative 4.3 plus minus the square root of 4.3 squared. And this would actually be positive because we have two negatives, right? So plus 196. Okay. What is 2 times 4.9 equal?
9.8. I think.
Yep. Okay, we're getting closer. Alright, so then 4.3 squared, I believe that equals 18.49.
Yeah.
Is that what you guys get?
Wait, 18.
0.49.
I got 9.
No, you
Is that
probably.
196 right there?
This is 196.
Plus 196.
Yep,
okay.
plus 196, yep.
She's
Okay, so now we're gonna say equals negative 4.3 plus. I think that's gonna equal 214.49.
Yep.
Okay. All over negative 9.8. Okay. Can someone figure out what this equals?
Yeah, 14.65.
Yeah, I'll go out one more decimal point for that. That works. Okay, so we've got negative 4.3 plus minus 14.645 all over negative 9.8 and negative 4. Someone want to try doing that?
The top value is going to be 10.345.
No. I think you're doing plus 14.65.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing first.
Okay. Well, I guess I can just switch it here. Okay, so this is going to equal the top part. You said was 10 point what?
10.345.
Okay. So over negative 9.8. What does that equal?
1.055.
Yeah. So
1.057.
and is that going to be positive or negative?
Positive. Alright, not negative.
Yes. Yes, it is negative. Yeah. So it's negative 1.
0.056.
I'll say 1.06. Okay, what are our units? If we're this is t here, right? Is time. So is this answer plausible?
No.
Correct. Yeah, it's not plausible. Yeah.
It's so stupid.
We don't do time travel, at least at this point. So yeah. So this is not a realistic solution. So then we go back and we ask, okay, what happens if we take negative 4.3 minus 14.645? What does that equal?
Negative 18.
Okay, negative 18.945.
That's even less plausible. Oh, but
No, it is plausible. Yeah, it's gonna be plausible.
Yeah, because then.
Okay,
'cause that'll make
so
it
what do we get
plausible.
now?
That'll be like positive. No. It's gonna be like 2 something.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, almost
Actually.
that.
It's 1.93.
3.
Yep.
3, 2, 1, 1, 9, 5. Where'd you get 2 1s?
That's my calculator.
He doesn't know.
So yeah, so if you dive off a board or off a platform that's 10 meters tall, with that initial upward velocity or speed, I guess, then after 1.93 seconds, you're gonna hit the water. Hopefully not too hard.
So the second one was true, the first one was open.
Correct. So there are two solutions to the quadratic.
One of them was wrong.
One of them was implausible. Yeah, based on what we're finding. Yeah, exactly. Because we don't go back in time.
Unless.
Unless we get. They figure something out, right?
Well, actually, we do
Okay,
have time
let's
travel.
not go on to that.
Okay.
The time traveler proves how
Okay.
the timeline
Pull them
works.
back in.
Back on target here.
Then we'll have access to the fourth dimension.
No.
Oh yeah, Interstellar. That's right.
I'm sorry, that was really funny, Mason. It was.
So what was that last?
Why are we making fun of my life, Mason?
Not just me.
You're supposed to be my friend, but you're breaking me down every single day.
You broke your bucket.
No, don't bring that up again. My son said not to bring that up.
Okay. So we're gonna solve. Okay, solve. Oh, not solve.
Who's
Saul Goodman.
Saul. Me, Saul. Not Sal.
Okay, imagine we're given an equation of this form, and we want to put it into the quadratic formula to solve for the x-intercepts. So what would we have to do to this equation?
Find A, B, and C.
Mm-hmm.
We will be doing that, yes, but we have to rewrite it. How would we rewrite it, you think? What are we going? Okay, Grayson.
Would your C then be negative 25? Because if you subtract 25 on both sides.
Yes. So you're going to subtract 25 from both sides. So then you're going to have x squared minus 2x minus 25 equals 0. And that's the magic number, right, for quadratics. We want to set it equal to 0 for the quadratic formula. Okay, so now we have this set up.
Wait. Oh, that's an X. I didn't see the X before.
Yep, that's fine. Okay, so what does A equal?
1.
1. What does B equal?
Negative 2.
Negative 2. What does C equal?
Negative 25.
Negative 25.
Passing you. I can outrun all of you.
Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and set this up over here then. So right, we've got negative b. So negative b is going to be what?
Positive.
Yep, it's going to be 2. Plus, minus the square root. What is b squared?
What did you say?
So right here, what is b squared?
What did you say? Sorry, I was asking him what he said, because it sounded like he said a different number.
Okay. So b is negative 2, right? So b squared would be,
Negative 2 squared.
yeah, which is?
Negative 4.
Yep, it's 4. Okay, positive 4. Okay, minus 4 times a, which is 1.
I thought it was -4. Because
So b is negative 2. So negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4.
wait, hold on, let me put it in parentheses.
Yep, that'll make a difference. Yeah, definitely want it in parentheses.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so then what is c?
1.
So it's going to be negative 25, right? Okay, so we've got 2 plus minus. Okay, that would be, we have 2 negatives and 1 positive. So that means it's going to be,
Don't we need it over under 2a?
yes we do. I have not done that yet, but yes we do. Yeah, so over 2a would be 2 times 1.
Which is just 2.
So, okay, so 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 25 is what?
Wait, in this equation, what are we trying to, like, is this for height, time, or is this just an equation that we made? It doesn't matter what we get.
I'm pretty sure this is just an equation.
Okay.
We're not solving for anything in particular at the moment, or at least I don't have a specific thing in mind.
4 times -25 is -100.
It is. Well, actually, okay, there's only 2 negatives, so it would be positive, right? So we've got negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 25 is going to be positive 100, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's going to be 4 plus 100. So that's all over 2, which is then going to equal, we'll say, 2 plus the square root of 104, which equals what?
106.
Wait, isn't that? Oh wait.
So I think, so what is, so, well, I guess we can just do the plus minus. So this is going to be 2 plus minus, I believe it's 10.
10.44.
I got 10.2.
That's what I got too.
10.2? Okay. Okay, so we'll move back over here. So we have, so let's do the first positive, 2 plus 10.2 over 2. So that's 12.2 divided by 2, is that 6.1? Is that what you guys get?
Yeah, I got 6.
6.1? Okay, so 6.1 is one of our answers. So the second one is going to be 2 minus 10.2 over 2. So what does that equal?
4.1.
4.1? Yeah, that's what I got. So in this case, we would have 2 solutions. So there's an x-intercept at 6.1 and there's an x-intercept at 4.1. So if you wanted to, we're not going to do this because it would take a while, but or not that long. But I guess if you wanted to, you could take this original equation here, right? And then you could just plug in each of those values for x. And if it equals 0, then you know your solutions are correct.
If both of them equal 0.
So you would do them separately, right? So
Yeah.
you put in, yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Exactly.
When I put in my calculator, I, instead of times, -4 times 1, I did -4.1 times -45. So I got it wrong from all the way from the beginning.
Oh, okay.
So where do you think most people make mistakes on this?
The beginning.
Where?
Solving.
Calculator.
Calculator.
Yeah, parentheses are really important around negative numbers, right? If you're squaring them. Or multiplying, I guess. Well, at least if you're squaring. So yeah. Okay, I think we're gonna go ahead and let you take a break right now, and then we'll come back and we can do stuff on the board.